Uh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, this is a continuation of last week's session. I hope those of you that attended are here today and you guys are willing to, let me know what you did because we're starting with you first. So I am aware that you submitted your assignment. However, I would really like if one or two of you are able to share with me what you've done. I'd love to see what you've done. And we could just do a bit of a show and tell, of what you've done, your assignment, before we go into the rest of the session. So even though this is quite a bit of knowledge share, the way I normally do it is the presentation is loaded with a lot of text because I know I can't go through everything and I know it's recorded. So regardless of how quickly I go through it, you'll have the video to, pause, rewind, all of that to kind of go through things. So you find the presentation is text heavy just to give you a lot of information. And again, like last week, we're going to split it into two parts and try and get as much information as possible. However, these are things that are taught, they have classes on their own. So I really hope that you'll be able to grasp what I can share in the next 15 minutes or so. But yeah, we're going to start with a review of your assignment. So if you guys, while I'm talking, I'm just giving you some time to kind of pull it up on your system if you have it. So those that are willing to share can just tell me, some of the user stories they wrote, the stakeholders they were able to identify, all of that. Maybe even show me your glossary if you're able to do that. So this time is just to give you, a few minutes to pull that up so you can show me, and then we'll go through just a few things, for part one. But basically, what I said here is really true. Business analysis skills are a muscle. You have to train them. You have to practice. If you're just here and you're listening to the talking and all of that, you'll get something, but you won't get a lot. A lot of the things I'm going to share here with you are going to be new concepts, obviously, but you definitely need to practicalize it in order to learn. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And then just if you are ready to share what you've done with us, you can just maybe signify by raising your hand. I'll call you and you can share what you've done. Don't be shy. As a business analyst, we present. That's a lot of what we do. A lot of our documentation we present, we show it to our stakeholders, whether it's a project team or our business stakeholders. So don't be hesitant. This is the forum to make all the mistakes you want to make. I want to see what you've done and I can give you feedback. If you've done well, I'll commend you. If there are areas in which you can improve on, I'm happy to give feedback as well. So anybody willing to share? Just for 5 minutes. It won't be a long session because there's a lot to get through. Anybody? Brave, willing? Ozzy, beautiful, awesome. So, Damisola, do they have access to share their screen, or can they just talk us through what they've done? Because I'd love to see. Okay, you can share your screen. Ozzy, can
Yes,
you
please.
share your screen and just let's have a look and see what you've done, your task.
Okay. Uh, just 1 minute, please. I'm just
Or
gonna let me see if I can bring this up. Uh, there's a place where I can just bear with me. Uh, it says Zoom.
so there's a share screen button, a green arrow
Yeah.
that share. So if you click on it, you should be able to share your screen.
Just my screen. Okay, yeah, just bear with me. The share screen is there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go straight to the webs. I mean, the website. I don't know if you can see that.
You're not sharing. We can't see your screen at the moment now.
It says share, optimize.
Share screen. You can either pick the actual app you want to share or share your entire screen if you know there's nothing, you know, nothing you don't want to share on your entire screen. You can click on that and we can see what you're doing.
Okay, let me see if that's gonna work. I don't know. Can you see my screen?
It's coming up as we speak. Yep, I can see your screen. Awesome. So talk us through what you've done.
Okay, this is the first time I'm doing this, so it's a
Of
bit.
course, no problem at all.
So this is just the Blue Sky Citadel app. This is where I actually submitted my the assignment, so to say. So what
Mm-hmm.
you can see everything, the stakeholders, the requirements, then the user stories. So that's what I've done. So you can see from the stakeholders, that's what I chose. You want me
Okay.
to read out or you can see?
Okay, because I want to give some other people an opportunity to share as well, I'll just do a very quick run through. So you've said your stakeholders are the leadership team, correct? Store staff, correct? This includes drivers, quick delivery, fine shoppers, finance team, brilliant. Okay, I love your stakeholders, really great. Requirements, you said budget, developers, coders, access to. So you've highlighted um, issues and key things, but these aren't really requirements because a requirement, when you say budget, what is the requirement for the budget? If you say developers, what's the requirement for the developer? What do you want them to do? A requirement is the business saying, in order to achieve this thing, this is our ask, this is what we want you to do. For example, we want to create a mobile app. So one of the requirements for the mobile app, no, let me use this example. So we want to create an online store for Tesco.
Yeah.
One of the requirements is that people should be able to log in, have a personalized account, and shop online. That's a requirement.
Okay.
Do you understand? So
Yeah.
your requirement is, what, in order to achieve the goal, what do we need to do? What are those key things that the business is asking us to do in order to achieve the final product, the project objective,
Yeah.
you know? So then user stories, remember the training has a format for user stories. One of the things I explained to you why I love business analysis and why I'm saying everybody can be a business analyst is because when you're asked to do something, you're not left to figure it out on your own. There is normally a technique, a format, a way things are done. So once you learn that way, any project you go into, you just apply it. So I shared the user story format with you. So that format is the way you're supposed to write your user stories. But good attempt, very well done. We'll talk a bit more about it. I don't know if you're going to be a business analyst role, but if you are, you will definitely learn more and be able to share, try your hand at more. But good attempt, very well done. Well
Okay.
done.
Thank you.
Tokumbo, your hand is up. Do you want to share your screen as well? Let's see what you've done.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ozzy, for
Thank
even
you.
for sharing. Well done. Tokumbo, over to you.
All right. Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you. I'd love to see your screen if you can share it.
Is the screen visible now?
It's coming up. We're seeing a black screen. Yep. Okay, fine. We can see it. Nice. All right. Let me look through. Okay. I like the way you structured yours. You said your stakeholders are Tesco management, Tesco customers, delivery manager and team, inventory manager, customer service manager, customer support team, Tesco data officer, quality assurance. I love your stakeholders. One of the things you can do is you can split. Like I think you have customer service manager and customer service team. Either the customer service manager is representing his team,
Okay.
or you want them to be
Okay.
separate. Stakeholders are normally either individuals or groups. They're not like, and you have separate
Okay.
stakeholders, because every time you're addressing a particular stakeholder, you're addressing that stakeholder. So if
Okay.
the finance team is your stakeholder, just like 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓 said, then you can address the head of, or a particular member of that
Of
team
the
that will
team.
represent
Okay.
the whole team. Do you
Yep.
understand? So
Bro.
if either you split them, or we just say the customer support team
Okay.
is your stakeholder, and obviously they will be represented by one person unless you want to meet the whole team, all of that. But I love what you've done. Brilliant. Okay, let's see your requirements. Online shopping platform. Brilliant. So we need an online shopping platform. Now, that's a big ask. That's an overview. That's big. It's a big piece of work. In
Yeah.
order to get your online shopping platform, there are so many things you need to be able to get in order to get your platform. So I like that. That is a requirement. You call it a high level requirement, because in order to get that, you need to break it down further. Do you understand? If you just tell someone, give me an online shopping platform, it could be anything.
Mm.
But as a business analyst, you need to break it down further. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about. So I like that that's a requirement. You need a platform, good user interface, prompt delivery service, mobile friendly platform. So mobile friendly platform, brilliant. Robust payment platform, brilliant. Inventory, real-time inventory handshake. What does that mean?
Okay. So since Tesco will be going online and they also have their stores,
Yeah.
if the inventory is not real time, there's tendency that customers will shop online for a particular product that is already out of stock. So there should be a real time sort of handshake from between the online store and the warehouse or the physical store to know what stock, what level of stock you have for a particular item. So I can't be shopping for, say, a box of spaghetti and we're already out of stock in store and we can't fulfill that order. That's going to lead to customer dissatisfaction.
Okay. All right. I that is a good requirement. My only ask would be, I don't really understand handshake. So I know there might be a better way to have put it, but
Yeah, possibly.
I get the requirement, and it's a valid one. So that's really good. I love data protection, because you're dealing with, I love privacy policy. So these are awesome requirements, fantastic requirements. They're high level requirements. Again, like I said, one of the things I'm going to talk about is how to break it down. Now, for your user story, you talked about the Tesco management. So as Tesco management, we want, so as a business analyst, we usually address a person. So even if a stakeholder is a group, it's
Yeah.
usually seen as one
One
entity.
person. Okay.
So it's like, as a Tesco manager,
Yeah.
I want blah 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 blah.
Okay.
So okay, you said an online platform, real-time inventory. So this, with real-time inventory, so that we can deliver our goods to customers in the comfort of their homes. And this is a good attempt. It's actually a good attempt. We're going to do a bit more exercises with user stories, time permitting, today. Tesco customer. So I like you followed the cadence. You have the as is, as a, I want, so that cadence. So that's really, really good. We can break this down a bit further, because user stories are usually the smallest. When you've broken down, for example, you want an online platform. Your online platform costs, just think of an Amazon online platform. Think of everything it consists of. You've talked about inventory, it's on the platform. You've talked about payment system, it's on the platform. You talk about so many different things. So if you just say, I want an online platform without actually breaking it down to what exactly you want, the detail, the smallest detail, is going to be very difficult, because someone will say they want something, and because they haven't properly defined it, it may not be what exactly they want. So user stories are the smallest possible version of your requirement. You have to break it down. Again, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. So let me not preempt my course today and all of that, but I'll explain what this means. But very, very good attempt, Tokumbo. Really great.
Thank you, sir.
I'll go straight into my presentation now. Does anyone have a glossary? Did anyone you can just raise up your hand and say you started a glossary. Did anyone attempt to do a glossary, start a glossary, and all of that? Do you guys, know what the glossary is? Yes, no, maybe, I'm not sure.
No.
You're not sure. Okay, were you here last time?
Yes, ma.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
What a glossary is.
Now. Thank you. So a glossary will help you. Let me not belabor that point, but go and look into what a glossary is, because you're learning so much. It'll help you put down some of the new terms you're learning. I'm going to tell you a lot more again this session, and it could be a lot to keep track of. Prep major, allow me, I think that's you. Please go ahead.
I think it's DG. I don't think it's me.
Sorry, DG. Go ahead.
But I almost don't mind telling them about the glossary. I think you mentioned it the last time.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Yeah,
Go ahead, DG.
yeah, sorry, I was renaming myself anyway, because it seems like everybody knows Solawumi as a prep major. All right, so I just want to say, yeah, well done to Kumbo. I was really, really impressed. So if you are doing the diploma, I've already kind of giving you 5% scholarship anyway. So like Olawumi said yesterday, this is accumulative anyway. So I know she will write them down anyway. So hopefully, yeah. So well done. That was good. Yeah.
Thank you, DJ.
Yeah. Even though it's not perfect, but I think for your stage, it's
100%.
It's really, really great. Well done. Yeah.
Very well done. Good things come to those who share. All right. So let's go back to, let me put this in presenter mode and go back to this. Okay. So again, I'll go through this really, really quickly. On the project and on most projects, your project can either be managed through the agile methodology or waterfall methodology. I don't know if you've seen that, but in BlueSky we use agile, and agile is what most, in fact, it's everywhere now. Most new modern organizations use agile. Those that don't want to use agile, so you're going to be learning as in basically the best latest methodology. So everything I'm going to talk to you about will have to do with agile projects. Yeah, you're going to learn a lot of these things. I will not belabor this point. I don't have time, but basically, the agile development is built on short, repeated cycles that are called sprints. And that it means that the project is able to be delivered on a regular basis quickly. We call it iterative development. So it's being done very quickly in a continuous way. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of collaboration. There is flexibility. you get value quickly, and if there's a need to change or pivot, you can do that. So Agile is really highly recommended. And basically, that's what we're going to be doing here. Most of the top organizations are using Agile. These are just a few. There are loads of them. BBC, it's everybody's using Agile these days. So if you know how to use, how to work on Agile projects, you're going to be in high demand. And that's what we're going to be doing here. Everything I'm going to tell you has to do with the Agile framework or the Agile methodology, and you're going to hear more about it in your other classes as well. So a BA's role in the Agile framework is, like we said, you're a key link between the business, represented by the product owner, and the development team. You're the bridge, you're the link. So when you get the business requirements from the product owner or from the business stakeholders, you're the one to document it and translate it for the development team. As a result of that, you normally work ahead of sprint. So you have to have the stories ready for when the sprint starts. So I heard that you guys are starting, for those that are continuing, you're starting sprint 0 next week. Sprint 0 is when the team is norming and forming and you're writing your team charter and all of that. But BAs already start working, because if we wait for when the sprint starts, there will be no requirement. So we work ahead of sprint. We're very proactive that way. And that means that you are actively going to your business stakeholders, or in this case, your product owner, to find out what are the requirements we need to deliver on. So you get the requirements, you refine them, you prioritize them, you get approval from them, you document them, and then you make sure that whatever requirement you document aligns with the business goals and the business objectives. So this is basically what our role is. And the way we document them are in stages using the Agile framework. While we were looking at Tokunbo's user stories, we saw that he highlighted some very high level requirements. We call those epics. You know, when you go for a movie and say that movie was epic, it was big, there was this kingdom and there were, all these big things happening, was epic. That's basically what it is. There's the epic, the very big thing that we're supposed to deliver. And we break epics into features. Then features are broken down into user stories. And those are broken down into tasks. So I just gave you guys the user story last week. Remember, I said that it's very difficult to condense everything in the little time we have. In the program, all these things are going to be taken one by one, and they're going to be elaborated on. So please don't worry at all. But now I just want to explain the process of breaking down those high-level requirements into smaller chunks so that we're able to work on them. So like the online platform we saw on Tokunbo's in his requirements, that would be an epic. It's a bigger story. We now need to break that story into smaller parts and even smaller parts so that people can work on it. So the epic is usually called the grandfather. The feature is called the parent, and the user story is called the child. So when I'll show you an Azure DevOps board, and I'll show you how it's ranked. But just bear this in mind. This structure is so that we can plan, talk to each other, break things down and walk through all the different requirements so we can deliver exactly what the product owner or the business wants. Yeah, it's important. So like I said, it's called the Agile Requirements Hierarchy. The epic is the really large level goal. So for example, you have your online platform. In the online platform, there's things like login. Let's even start. For the online platform, you need a website. When we're just saying platform, you need a website, right? So think of Amazon. Amazon is an online platform. Your Tesco shopping is online, but you need a website to actually go into. When you get into that website, you need to be able to register. You need to be able to log in and have an account. You need to be able to pay. You need to be able to arrange for delivery. All these things are chunks of work. So to just say you want an online platform is so big, you need to break it down. Then you break it down into features. Your feature would be a payment platform. Your feature would be, how does the user register? Your feature would be, how does the user get delivery? All those things that make up the epic is now broken down into the feature. Then your user story is now a simple description of what me as a user want. So for example, the epic is, I want an online shopping platform. One of the features is, as a user, I want to be able to go through the registration process. The user story will be, as a user, I want to click on a link that will take me to the website and open a sign-up page. And I want to be able to register to be a user of this website. That's the user story. So you see how it went from online platform to registration feature to the user story. You go from a big level to the feature, which is, what is that function? What is that capability you want the online platform to have? Then your user story is now the simple description of what the user, remember, it has to be told from a user perspective. So what the user is going to do, how they're going to do it, and what the benefit is going to be. Then your task is usually for the developers and the testers to work through. So because they know that you want a page, you want to be able to click on the link and a page will be displayed, and then you should put in your details and you should be able to register. They will now be the one to develop that capability, and the testers will test it to make sure that it does what you want it to do. So the task is now the actual thing, the work item that needs to be done to deliver on that user story that will meet the feature, that will fulfill the epic. So you see how it flows, right? So this is just a breakdown of the epics. I'm giving you guys this, like I said, so that you have more than enough to go through, so I just talked about it being the large chunk of work, and it has to be in alignment to the business objective and goal that you've gotten. And like I said, the epic is broken down into features and user stories. This is for the feature, the key capability. So you break down your epic into different features, okay? They're called value-driven chunks of work that need to be done in order to realize. So in order to get that online platform, what do we need to do? Those are your features. And I've talked about your user stories. So 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓, remember in your user story format, I mentioned that there's a particular format you need to follow. It's called the connector format. You have to connect all these different pieces. Who is your actor? What do you want them to do? And what is the benefit you want them to get? It has to be in this format when it's in Agile. Yeah, so this is the format we go to. It has to be simple language that both the developer and the QA will be able to get easily. You don't want technical language. You don't want anything too complicated. That's why when Tokumbo said handshake, I was like, what do you mean by handshake? Someone can see handshake and think it's something else. So you have to make sure that the language you use is something that everybody understands. When I say water, it cannot be flavor colored water. Everyone has to understand that water is water. When I say click, everybody understands that when I click, this is what I mean by clicking. So you have to be specific. You have to use simple language that everybody understands. And that's why it's very collaborative, because you may not always get it the first time. When you write a story, that story has to be read by the project team, the developer and the QA, and they will ask you questions. What do you mean when you say handshake? What do you mean when you say platform? What do you mean? If they don't understand, they will ask you. And until they understand what that story is, they will not agree to it. And that story will not be worked on unless it's agreed on. It's not a what word am I looking for now? It's a good process. It's an easy process. People are just talking. So it's not anything, that is wrong. Oh, I won't do this. No, people are just talking to ask questions, and when they ask you a question, you understand because you explain, because sometimes language is different. So they have to know what you mean when you write what you write, So again, like I said, there has to be a shared understanding between the business and the development team. And remember, you as a BA, you're the bridge. So you have to understand what the stakeholder means with the requirement, and you have to write it in such a way that the development team understands what you mean. And after that, they will estimate the story and plan to commit it to sprint. This is a task. I've mentioned it before and all of that. So now this is our what do they call it? A quick scenario. Before we go through this scenario, I want to share a live example with you. Just bear with me. I wanted to show you the screen we have. Just 1 minute. Share my screen again. Just to show you a live Azure DevOps board and what we mean by epic. So I won't show you too many things, yeah? But basically, this is a live board, an Azure DevOps board that is in progress, as you can see. So these are some epics that we're working on. So the website is a transport management system website. So basically, we have a number of epics that we're working on for the project. One is the landing page. So you see that the epic is the landing page. It's a website. So the landing page is just one aspect of it, but it's a big chunk of work. Now, under the landing page, if you click here, you will see all the features under the landing page. The landing page has to have a header. It has to have a footer. Then the header will have its own functionalities. The body is the middle part of the page. So you have the header on top, and then you have the footer, and then you have the body as well. So this is your big chunk of work, which is the landing page. And then you now have your different features. So header, body, all of that. If you click on it, you see your user stories. So the header will have a button for services provided, about us, login, contact us. All these will be part of the header. If you go to the next feature, which is the body, you'll see all the different user stories here. Okay. Now let's click on the user story. Now, these are the tasks. Remember, I told you that the tasks are for the developers and the QAs. So you can already see that this task was created by the developer, and then this task was created by the QA. So this is manual testing, automation testing, and all of that. So you can see all this underneath it. So you can see the hierarchy. It's called parenting. This is the grandfather. This is the father. This is the child. And well, let's not say what the task is. It's fine. It's just those three for now, So you have to make sure that as you're creating user stories, they are parented. You must link them to a feature or an epic. So that's basically how we work. I hope this has given you a clearer understanding of how this works. I won't open any of them yet, just so that you will not be too what they call it now. We won't get too far ahead. So we're back on our scenario. Now, this is for you. My caveat with this exercise is that normally in an agile project, you would actually get stakeholders to tell you what the different features are. But based on what you've learned so far, you should be able to answer this question. So the scenario is that a regional bank is creating a mobile banking app. They are revamping their app, okay? So they want to deliver user-friendly, efficient, and secure digital banking. We all have banking apps and we all use them. So this project focuses on enhancing user engagement through a modern account overview, the streamlined fund transfers, improve customer support. And the goal is to increase digital adoption among their customers, improve customer satisfaction, and drive operational efficiency. Now, based on what I've said so far, what would you think the epic is and the features are? Just those two. Let's just keep to those two. So what would you say the epic is and the features are? I can't really see anyone lifting up their hand. So if maybe Damisola or someone can help me, if anyone lifts up their hand, they can call them to answer the question. Just one or two people. It's not a lot of information, but just based on what you can see, what would you say that the epic is, and what would you say that the features are? Anyone?
No hands yet, Susan.
No hands? No, you guys have to contribute.
Okay, I'm talking about.
Thank you. Talking about wants another 5%. Oh, you guys are sleeping.
And okay, talking about
he has
first.
seen a good thing and he's not, he's jumping on it. So I don't blame you. Go ahead, Tokumbo. If you're
That's not the idea. I just want to give it a shot.
Of course, that's why we're here. There are no wrong answers.
I would say maybe improved user-friendly mobile banking app.
Is the
epic.
Okay. And what would you say the features are?
It should have a seamless login process. Seamless login process, but secure. It must be secure.
So you've said two things now.
Yeah.
Don't mix them up.
Yeah.
Don't mix them up.
Login process should be seamless.
Process. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you talked about
the app
security.
should be secure. Yeah.
Yes. What else?
User experience and user interface should be on point.
Okay.
I should be able to break that down simpler, but let me just use that word for lack of a better synonym.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
all right. Thank you so much, Tokumbo. That was brilliant. Well done. Very, very good effort. You didn't get it wrong. So I'm not sure why you were hesitating or anyone is. You actually got that right. Anybody have any other suggestions?
Yes, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I was a bit nervous that I was going to say everything that that there is to say. But then okay, so I thought that as the epic, the mobile app should be user friendly. And then as a feature, I was thinking of, like an overview, when you have, I don't know how to say this, but then, when you have like an overview of your account balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like overview of the account balance.
Okay.
And of course, like probably the different kinds of account that you have. So you could have like a savings account or a current account that also shows. And then probably, your bank card information as well. What sort of card that is attached to that account? So if it's like a Visa card, a MasterCard, or and also I was also thinking of internet shop. So you should be Tokumbo talked about the app being secured, and so I'm thinking that you should be able to sort of open your bank card for online transaction.
Yep.
And be able to close it, so you have that option. That flexibility is there.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
I shouldn't say so much so that someone else can say something.
Yes, please. Very well done. I love your features. You actually got those really, really right. You talked about an account overview, which is awesome. You talked about being able to use your funds, your card, which I believe are like fund transfers, transactions, all of that. You talked about the one thing I would say might be a bit different is the epic you mentioned. You talked about customer friendly. That's a feature, an aspect of the epic, but it can't be the epic. Remember, the epic is the high level work that we're supposed to deliver on, the big chunk of work. So when customer friendly platform is just a feature of the platform, the I don't know if you understand the difference. The platform itself would be the epic, but then being customer friendly would definitely be, you know, one of the functionalities. It's user friendly. People are able to use it and all of that. So that's really great. So because of time, I won't ask any more questions. But guys, as BAs, yeah, we're given requirements and we're given, remember the demo we did last week, you actually have stakeholders you talk to, but your ability to take a problem statement and get questions to ask from it, even your own real world experience. Like I said, we all use mobile apps. Just think about your Barclays app or your HSBC app or whatever app. Think about all the functionalities that you have there and apply it here. And you can use that to ask your stakeholder questions to say, what kind of security features should we add? You know, what kind of transactions can the user make on it? And then if you look at this problem statement, you can already see, you know, I didn't get your name. I'm so sorry, my dear. You talked about an account overview. It literally says a modern account overview. It says it here. It talks about fund transfers. Those are very obviously your epics. You can take those and ask your PO, transactions, is this one of the epics, one of the features? And then they'll tell you yes, because it's obviously there. You know, so don't be hesitant. You can use the information you're given to ask questions to get the information you want. And remember, here we're just spitballing, so don't be nervous at all. Very, very good attempt to the two people who spoke. You know, so very quickly, I know I don't have so much time. We're going straight into part 2, and this is where BAs, this is our bread and butter, like I said last week. So the epic and the features are good. You talk about it with your product owner and you agree on what those are. But when it comes to the user stories, we're the ones who write those user stories. So this is very, very important for us. Remember, I said the tasks are for the developers and the software testers, but BAs, user stories are ours. And I just told you, I just skimmed user stories very quickly in the last class. For this class, I want to delve into a bit more about user stories, because your user story is not just that line I gave you. There's more to it than that. Okay, so this is what we saw last week, where we said a user story is a very simple description of a feature or a functionality, and it's usually from the end user's perspective. So you always have to have, who is the actor, who is the user of this thing, what do they want to do, what action do you want them to perform, and then what is the benefit you want them to get. So you have to remember this syntax. And it's not what they call it now. It's not you have to do it. It's mandatory. This is the format we use. Your user story has to follow this format. Remember, I talked about agile methodology. So if you're using a different methodology, it may not follow this. But when you're within agile, you have to have your as a, I want, so that. That's basically what it has to follow. So it's not obligatory. You have to do it. Okay. So one of the things that will help you in your creation of before we do that, I want us to go through this a bit more. We don't have time. I'm so sorry. I'm just looking at the time and I know we don't have time. So my apologies. Let's just go on. One of the principles that will help you in creating your user story is that it has to have the invest features. Yeah, these are guidelines that will help you create an effective user story. Your user story has to be independent. It cannot rely on any other user story. So it must start and end on its own. It should be able to stand on its own. If you ever tell a QA, oh, in order to fulfill this user story, you have to go to another user story, then your user story is not well written. Your user story has to be independent on its own. It has to be negotiable. You cannot bring a user story to a project, your Scrum meeting or a sprint planning meeting or sprint refinement meeting and say, this is its end of story. No, your QAs will interrogate it. Your dev team will interrogate it. They'll ask you questions. And when they ask you questions, as the BA, remember, as the bridge, you're the one who is speaking on behalf of the business. So when they ask you, what does this thing mean? You already know what the requirement is, so you can explain it to them. And they'll tell you, oh, the way it's written is not really, could you write it in a different way? Or could you add some additional information so it adds clarity? And you do that, that's refinement. So you refine the user story. You come onto the meeting and they ask you, like I just did, could you share your user story? Could you tell us your user story? Once you do that, there has to be discussion. And then once everyone has understood the user story and agrees, then it's able to be committed to sprint so that they can work on it. Because you can't expect them to work on something they don't understand. It has to add value. It has to be, that user story has to give a particular functionality. It has to add value to the project. It can't just be an empty user story. Okay, it's estimable. And that means that the dev team, the dev developer, and the QAs have to be able to say, this is how much effort I will put into completing this user story. So it has to be estimable. They have to be able to estimate how much effort it will take. It has to be small. It can't be too large. If they tell you that it's too large, you might have to break it down into more than one user story so they can work on it. So it has to be small enough to work within one iteration. That's just one sprint. That's another word for sprint. Then it has to be testable. The QAs have to be able to test it properly. So that's what invest is. That's what it stands for. These are 3 C's, very, very quickly, of user stories. You have to be able to write your user story down. You can't just tell people what your user story is. You have to write it down. I talked about conversation and then confirmation. So they have to agree to the user story. And the way you get confirmation is through the acceptance criteria. And I'm going to talk about acceptance criteria in the next one. So these are just some basic best practice of writing user stories. It has to be role specific. You must speak from the perspective of the user. So as a user, you put yourself in the place of the user. It must always include acceptance criteria. What is acceptance criteria? I'll talk about that. But your user story is not complete until it has a acceptance criteria. That bit you just saw as I want, so that's just the description. We now have to break it down even further. I talked about the language has to be simple. You have to go through the refinement process, and then you have to have supporting documentation. Again, in the internship, you're going to learn about that. I have no time to go through that. But then acceptance criteria, this is now the crux. If you've not listened to anything, listen to this, because spoiler alert, your task is going to, just listen, basically. So I just talked about the fact that a user story is not complete without the accompanying acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is a well-defined, testable checklist where you talk about all the possible scenarios that need to be met before that user story is complete. Yeah. So it's a breakdown of all the steps that need to be followed to achieve or fulfill that user story. You may not get it now. Don't worry. Follow me. I'll give you a bit more clarity. Okay. So let's have a quick discussion. Hopefully someone else other than Tokunbo is willing to have a discussion. Okay. So you're a bride or a groom. So our user story here is, as a bride or groom, so male or female, I want a wedding cake so that my guests can enjoy dessert at the reception. Can someone tell me how many tiers you want your wedding cake to be? Ignore this. This isn't the reference. It's just an image. But how many? 2 people for each question. You can unmute and just give me a number. How many tiers do you want your cake to be? Any 2 people can unmute for each question.
Just okay, so I'll say 4 tiers.
4. And someone said 5, right?
Yeah, I said 5.
Okay, 4, 5. Brilliant. Next set of questions, another 2 sets of people. What flavor do you want for each tier?
Vanilla.
And strawberry and vanilla.
Okay, you want strawberry and vanilla.
White.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's who else has another
White and blue.
white? No. What flavor?
Butterscotch.
Red velvet.
Awesome, brilliant. Thank you.
Cookies and cream.
What kind of frosting do you want? Any two people can unmute and just shout out the answer.
Chocolate ganache.
And then the second one?
And fondant.
Fondant, okay. Chocolate ganache and fondant. Any dietary requirements? Is anyone vegetarian or vegan, or do you have any? Are you allergic to peanuts? Anything?
Egg-free.
Lactose intolerant.
Egg-free, no milk. Brilliant. What about decorative elements? Any kind? Ooh, two people. Just tell me what you want to see on your wedding cake.
No icing sugar.
No icing sugar. Brilliant. Who has something else they want to put as decoration?
Sugar-free icing.
Okay, sugar-free icing. Same thing. I want a different one.
Flowers.
Brilliant. What size do you want us to serve the guests? Big, medium, or large, or you can just call out any size.
Medium.
Say again?
Medium.
Okay. Any other one apart from medium?
Large,
medium. Thank you. Okay. This is one cake. How do you expect for everybody that just talked to be satisfied? It is not possible. You all have different requirements for one cake. Imagine a business. Imagine the online platform we talked about. I want it to be blue, green, red. I want you to have this PayPal, Stripe. I want you to be able to buy from Europe. And that one says, no, Africa. How? So this description is not enough. You need to be able to give specifics as to what needs to be met in order for, I just said the wedding cake. Your acceptance criteria is the specific. I want it to be 3 tiers. I want only chocolate. I want ice. You have to be specific. Because if you leave it open to chance, number one, the developers will develop what they think is right. And how will the testers be able to test? You didn't give them any checklist. They don't know what steps to follow to get that requirement. It's just open. You just told them what you want, but you didn't tell them what steps to get there. That's your acceptance criteria. Yeah? So let's go down into the nitty-gritty. Now, this is your story there. Yeah? You say, as a user, I want to be able to log into the application so that I can access my account information. Given the acceptance criteria now talks about the specific scenario. It says, given I am on the login page, when I enter my username and password and I click on the login button, then I should be able to go to the dashboard page or whatever. That means that a tester can come here, enter login details, check, enter the password and username, check, click the login button, check, the dashboard will be displayed, check. This story will pass. Because they have gone through these steps, they're able to meet the requirement that you have given them. However, if they go onto the login page, given I'm a login page, check, and they enter the username and password, and it doesn't go through, they will fail the story because it didn't pass step 2. It has to pass step 2. What if you click on the login button and you keep clicking on it and nothing happens? No page is displayed. It will fail. So that's what the tester does. The tester uses your acceptance criteria to make sure that everything that is supposed to happen in order to meet that user story happens. So you have to write it in a step-by-step way. And there are 2 ways we write it, really. We write it, there's rule-based criteria, but that's not the one we're interested in. For Agile, we use a syntax called gherkin. It's given, when, then. So you write it in this particular way, and I'll explain why it's this way very quickly. Okay. So this is another example. Okay. So I'm a registered user of the website. I want to log into my account so that I can access my personalized account details. you have two scenarios here, okay? You have the successful login. Given I'm a registered user with valid details, what does this mean? It means if I'm not a registered user, I can't even start this process. There is a precondition. That's what your given is. Given I am a registered user, until I'm a registered user, I can't even follow this step. If I'm a new user who has not registered on this website, this story is not for me. There's another story for me. So there is a precondition. I'm a registered user and I have valid credentials. If I have invalid credentials, there's another scenario for that. And I enter my username and password, I'm successfully logged into my account. So that's the example. So you have your given. Your given is your precondition. When is the action you take? What is that trigger? What is that thing you do? When I do this thing, then is your result. So given, when, then. That's why it's structured that way. Given I'm this, when I do this, then I should get this result. Look at the other scenario. In technical terms, we call this the happy path and the unhappy path. That means that when you do this, it's successful. When you do this other one, it's not successful. So you have to write scenarios for both cases, because some people will have valid details. Some people, you've done it before. You've forgotten your password or you've entered the wrong password. What happens in that case? You have to write the story for that as well. So this is the story for the login failure. I'm still a registered user. There's still a precondition on the website. This is not even, remember, it's ABC website. So it's a specific website. It's not just any website. It's a specific website. And I enter an invalid username or password and I click on the button. Then what should happen in that case? I should see an error message letting me know, informing me these are wrong details, and I still remain on the login page because it won't give me access. So you now have to, this is not just a very simplified story. You're going to get a lot more details later, but that's just to let you know how this works. Okay, so again, your product owner must verify and accept the criteria, and your project team, sorry, the word is missing here. Your project team has to agree to it. Same thing, it's part of your user stories. It's not different from your user story. Your acceptance criteria needs to be clear and unambiguous. It has to be a pass or fail, because your testers would need to test it. If it passes, it passes. If it fails, it fails. And then they'll raise a bug. It has to be realistic and within the scope of the story. So remember, you have your main story. It has to be within that scope. It has to be tied to the story, obviously relevant, and it has to be testable. It must be testable. If it's not testable, then, you know, that's it. So this is just a very quick run through. Don't worry if you didn't get any of this. I wish you had a glossary so you actually highlight some of these new terms. But when you hear about it, because again, user story and acceptance criteria is one lecture on its own. The epics and all of that is not like, we're just moving things together just to give you an overview of some of these techniques. But please go over this video again. I know I gave you a lot of information in very little time. Remember what I said, it's a journey, it's a muscle. If you just hear about it and you don't put it into practice, you will forget. And even when you put it into practice, you won't get it the first time, you won't get it the second time, you won't get it the third time. But every time you keep getting better. It's a muscle, you build your muscle. One day you'll be writing user stories in your sleep, but it won't just happen like that. You just have to keep doing it. And the more you do it, the better you get. So start with simple stories, and then you find some people that are writing complicated user acceptance criteria because they are now more conversant with it. But this is just a whistle-stop tour, like I said, of this topic. And I really hope you were able to get a lot. Now, we're here for our take-home task, okay? I really hope that you guys will try it, you know, because again, you can't, you won't be wrong if you make an attempt. You'll be helped along. A mentor, a buddy will help you, correct you, but don't hesitate. Don't be afraid. Don't be hesitant. Just try. Okay. So your take-home test is, remember, I changed it from Tesco Express to BlueSky Express, but it's the same grocery store that we referred to the last time. Okay, so you've done a wonderful work. The last task was that they wanted to start an online service. Now they're launching, and you are the user. I'm the user. Well, you are the user, and you want an account with them in order to use their services. Okay, so your task for this week is, again, write user stories based on the additional information you've gotten. And this time, write them with acceptance criteria for successful registration of a new user, the unsuccessful registration of a new user, successful login of a registered user, unsuccessful login of a registered user, lost password, and let's say that I don't want to use their service anymore and I want to delete my account. Write user stories and acceptance criteria for these 6 scenarios. Okay, so that is all. I know I overshot my time. My apologies. Thank you all so much. If you have any questions, this is your time. I hope we have like 5 minutes or something, so we can go over any questions you have. Feel free to ask. There's nothing like a stupid question. There's nothing. Don't be hesitant. If you ask, you get the response, and you'll be able to get that additional knowledge. So thank you so much. Samuel, go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, Samuel. Good evening.
Good evening. I don't have a question, but I just want to commend you. You're just too good on this thing, and I think I admire you a lot. Your law is really working. The way you talk fluently, I really admire you, and I wish to be more than you.
Thank you. You will be more than, in Jesus' name. Sorry, you'll be more than. I'm a Christian, so my apologies. I know some of us might not be. So yes, you will. Thank you so much. That's a lovely thing to say. Are you a BA?
Yes, please. Yes,
Fantastic.
yes, please.
Welcome to the club. Come. We have room for you. Come. Don't worry. We'll do everything together.
No, I feel that being an accountant, I feel I have more edge than you coming from a law background. So that's why
I think you will. Yes. Yeah, you will. Well done. Thank you so much, Samuel.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Right.
I'm not seeing the hierarchy, so I'll just call whoever is next. My apologies if you raised your hand up before them. So, Ozzy, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Zo. Bear with me. I'm still finding that user story, trying to put it in that, that syntax you did mention.
Yeah.
I know I have to do more. I'm going to get into the internship and hopefully learn more.
Fantastic.
And the word, so that's one. And the word gherkin, what you use, gherkin?
Yeah, it's the name. It's just the name. So the order, when I said given, when, then.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. So when someone says use the gherkin syntax, remember I said that there are 2 ways to write acceptance criteria. One is the rule-based one where you're just like, okay, check. But there's also the gherkin syntax, which is given, when, then. So that's when I talked about the precondition, the action, and then the result. It's just the name. There are just so many different things that have different names. So that is called the gherkin syntax. Don't worry, Ozzy, we're going to take you through everything. And even after the training, you have mentors and buddies who literally be there with you as you're writing it. It's awesome. Trust me. By the time you go through the process, it'll be very easy for you. We've all gone through it. So don't worry at all. Okay?
Thank you. That's fine. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Any other questions? I know I've overshot my time, so I'm really okay. If no other questions, I'll hand over to Damisola Onolami. Thank you so much for the opportunity, guys. Oh, Tokunbo.
Sorry, I've been struggling to actually raise my hands up a bit.
Okay.
Thank you for the training session. My question, I know you haven't touched on that at all tonight. It's just regarding the tools. industry are using today, perhaps say maybe your industry, Visio, Lucy,
Yeah.
and what other tools, I mean, what are the popular tools would you advise?
Okay.
I know you're away on training at the moment anyway, because I'm restricted with some of those tools.
Okay.
Visio, yeah, it's not a problem for me, but there are some other ones that which I actually struggle with. So sometimes, you know, you see a job application and then you're like, oh my God, this doesn't look like something you have to write it down. And then by the time you're training on that, you go back again to apply for another interview. You can see another company again saying, oh no, we use this, we use that. So what is the borderline?
Okay, so one of the things, again, I'm so sorry. I this training changed my life. So if I keep referring to it, please excuse me. One of the things that happens here is that the tools we use, Azure DevOps, which I just showed you for documenting your requirements and your user stories. That's what we use here. It is the industry's highest standard. If you know how to use Azure DevOps, you'll know how to use Jira, you'll know how to use Confluence, because it's almost like you can run. So if you can run, you can walk and you can crawl, even if you've never done it before. So in BlueSky, we use Azure DevOps. That's what we learn with. So when you go for some of these jobs, even if you haven't used any documenting program they use, because Azure DevOps is a Microsoft product, because you know how to use that, the others fall underneath it. So it's almost intuitive. You can use all of them. You just need a little practice and then you can use it. So when you come in, where you're literally going to be given access to Azure DevOps, and as a BA, that's where we write your stories. As a QA, that's what you use for your tasks. As an SM, that's what you use. So that's it's the agile standard anywhere in the world. So that's one. I love that you say you know how to use Visio, because again, Visio is top of the line. There's Miro, there's Figma, there's a lot of all the other tools. If you can use Visio, which a lot of people don't like because they say it's too hard, I love Visio. If you can use it, you can use all the others, because again, it's intuitive. So what do you use Visio for? Do you use it for process mapping? If you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, it is for process mapping.
Process mapping, brilliant. So if you can use Visio, others that don't have Visio, you will be given access to Visio. You will learn process mapping using Visio. But if you know how to use Visio, you can use Lucid Chat. That's the another one. You can use Miro. You can use all the other ones. So what usually happens is there are different tools for the same thing. But when you're trained with the industry standard, the top of the line, everything else under that is you just go online and do a quick set. And okay, I can do this. And then you're able to do it. So don't worry, all the tools you need, you'll be given access to. Okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Tokumbo, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is regarding the task.
Okay.
So we're to do user stories and acceptance criteria for a number of items. Now I can see that there is the happy outcome and the unhappy outcome.
Yes.
Now you want us to develop a user story for the unhappy outcome or just the acceptance criteria, just to show the unhappy outcome and what we expect during testing?
If you saw, that's a very, very good question, Tokumbo. Are you a BA?
No, I'm not. I'm just interested in it.
No. What I mean is, are you coming in as a BA?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, awesome. Good. I don't want to lead you to one of the other roles. So welcome. So if you notice the example I gave, it was one user story, but there was a happy path and an unhappy path. So that's part of your task. If you can decipher whether it needs its own user story or if it's part of the same user story, then, well, up to you. So that's part of it.
I thought as much, but I just wanted some clarification.
So very intelligent question. Very well done. So I'll leave it up to you. Watch the video again if you're confused. For anyone else who is not sure of the answer to that question, watch the video again. The answer is there. I just don't want to call it out. Okwayemi, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for tonight's session. It was very informative. Yes. So my question is, sort of not it follows the person before Uzo, I can't remember his name right now, the person that asked about tools.
Yeah.
Yes. And again, I am thinking, I know that you're in the UK. I
Yes.
am not. And looking at job offers where I live, it looks like, there is this requirement from employers about SQL, ETL, and Python. And so I'm wondering, what is the role of all of that in business analysis? This Python is a programming language, obviously. SQL is just for database management, and ETL is also, something that is used to extract data. So, and in the last couple of days that we've been talking about business analysis, I haven't heard anything in the line of, these three things that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So how do they align?
Okay, I can answer that, but I don't know if Deji wants to. Just want to make sure I'm not overstepping. Deji, should I answer? Is it okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so a lot of people want you to have those additional qualifications. It's not pure business analysis, it's data analysis. But now, if you have that hybrid knowledge, it's like they're getting 2 for 1. Rather than get a business analyst and a data analyst, they're getting someone that has both knowledge of both, just like getting a scrum master and a business analyst, or getting a software tester and a business analyst. So a lot of times they may want to merge both competencies to look for one. There are people like that, and even in BlueSky, we get the opportunity to train in all these different roles if we want to increase our service. So I could go and take a data analyst course. I'll learn SQL, I'll learn Tableau, Power BI, all of that, and I'll put it on my CV and say I'm a business analyst, but I also know how to use Tableau. I also know how to use SQL, and so on and so forth. So it's not a pure requirement of the role. We're going to teach you business analysis anywhere you go. This is business analysis. But then if your employer or the role requires additional skills, it could be an add-on for you. But here we're just going to do business analysis, and then those that are doing data analysis will learn those skills, because we teach those skills, but it's just in a different role. I don't know if I was able to answer that question, Akbemi.
Yes, thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
but is it okay to ask a follow-up question? And so this might be a good one for Deji to answer. And then, of course, we've had I can't remember the name of the guy too. Was really amazing with data analysis. And I'm wondering, of course, he also didn't say anything about SQL or Python. So is this something that is also in the curriculum for data analysis at BlueSky? Thank you.
Okay, all right, I will take that anyway. For data analysis, right, you do Tableau, which is one that we focused on the free session, right? So that is for only Tableau. So, and because we can't do everything within 4 weeks anyway. So there is also SQL, right? And there is also Power BI that we do, and Excel. There are 4 different modules that we do for data analysis: Excel, Power BI, Tableau, and SQL. Those are the 3 things that you are going to be exposed to. And what else? Yeah, like Uzo mentioned, right? Sometimes you see people applying for business information, business intelligence officer, but not a BA, right? But of course, like a data analyst, right, you will be expected to be doing BA and QA, because if you don't have a BA, you are the one that will be writing your requirement. And that is why sometimes you see some roles, what they're looking for is a business intelligence officer or a data analyst, right? But they would also put some requirement that a BA will have, right? Like writing user stories, everything that Uzo mentioned, right? But it's not conventional BA, to be honest. It's like 2 for 1 anyway. So that's what they are actually looking for, right? So yeah, so that's basically, but if you do BA here, and if you are going to do the certificate, you can decide to do BA/DA, right? Because we have them in two combo, right? So which means that you will focus on your BA, then you would also going to learn all those things that you mentioned as a DA anyway. But we would ask you to select your main course, your main module, and then your minor one. So your minor one could be a DA and your main one could be a BA. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you. But then, so you didn't mention anything about Python. So you don't have Python programming in any of the programs in the BlueSky Citadel.
Not necessarily, because for instance, for a DA or a BA, you really don't need Python for a start. Do you get it now? So, but if you are looking to go as a data engineer or data scientist, then you'll be talking about Python. And to be honest, I teach Python for kids, right? So that's a different aspect. Anyway, I teach Python for kids every Sunday. Anyway, but we'll finish right now. So it's, if the kids can learn it, then you can as well. Anyway, but it's not something that we presently do within the internship.
Thank you.
No worries.
Ni Ade, is this for me or for the admin?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, anyways, I came late and and I'm new to the program as well. I just want to say thank you again. Like other people have been saying, I really enjoy it as well. And I wish to know more about this. So I don't know how I can be benefit more about the whole scenario and everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ni. I'll allow me take this one. Thank you.
Hello, Nigi. Good evening. Welcome to the squad.
Thank
So
you.
in a few minutes, we'll be transitioning into the next session, and that's where your question will be relevant. So we'll ask you the question then, yeah?